Look, today my administration is issuing new warnings that based on evolving intelligence, Russia may be planning a cyber attack against us. As I said, the magnitude of Russia's cyber capacity is fairly consequential, and it's coming. The federal government is doing its part to get ready, but under U.S. law, as you all remember, the private sector, all of you, largely decides the protections that you will or will not take. One of the top military people said to me in a secure meeting the other day, 60 million people died between 1900 and 1946. And since then, we established a liberal world order, and that hadn't happened in a long while. A lot of people dying, but nowhere near the chaos. And now is a time when things are shifting. There's going to be a new world order out there. And we've got to lead it. We've got to unite the rest of the free world in doing it. So anyway.
Oh, wow. There's going to be a new world order. Now, where have I heard that term before? If only there were some individuals talking about this for years now. But yeah, don't worry. The fact checkers are telling us how to think about this particular term. Welcome back, beautiful and amazing human beings. This is Luke Rudowski here of wearechange.org. And of course, we're going to be dissecting Biden's statements, the larger implications of it, and the fact that there is a changing world order, even according to mainline thinkers like Ray Dalio, which we're going to be talking about in this video, along with the cyber attacks happening and that are going to be happening as the New York Times is literally trying to downplay nuclear war. Yes, lots to talk about, specifically with the concept of a new world order that we're going to be getting into in this video. And there's a lot of news, a lot of information to get into, especially in the major urban environments all throughout the United States, as of course they're dealing with a major decline of the quality of life that people are having there. Many people have fled major cities, as to some, they are the perfect representation of how the billionaire banking corporate class wants you to live, or to put it simply, they're a perfect representation of the Matrix pods that used people as batteries, and of course the famous fictional movie that absolutely was ruined in the last version of it. City life is literally how a lot of people plan for everyone to live, and to me, that's a ridiculous proposal. Some people would say it's a part of their new world order, but before we're even getting into that term, we have to understand that New York City is one of the most taxed, regulated, and controlled places in almost the entire world, next to Singapore, without all the cleanliness of Singapore, without all the safety and lack of criminality of Singapore, just all the worst elements of it. And what did you expect with government snitch programs like this, where New Yorkers are paid to snitch on truck drivers, some of them even claiming nearly $250,000 a year for reporting idling trucks to the city's new green agency that also, by the way, has a unit that goes through the trash of New Yorkers to make sure that they are properly recycling. If they are not, you of course get a very stiff fine and penalty, as the government will steal more money from you. And as the New York City government is paying off snitches, having government employees snoop through your trash, give you parking tickets after parking tickets for the smallest infraction, with meter maids almost at every single corner of the city. Outright criminality and outlawness is being normalized, as of course crime in New York City is continuing to go up, even under a mayor who promised that he would bring it under control. Now this woke, strict, plant-based diet individual who is failing on his major campaign promise literally is going to the mayor of Chicago. Yes, I am not kidding you. This is not the Babylon Bee. This is not satire. But the mayor of New York City is turning to the mayor of Chicago, Lori Lightfoot, for, quote, ideas on how to tackle crime. Which the Daily Mail decided to title The Blind Leading the Blind, as of course Chicago has been deemed Chirac and has a higher death rate than even war zones. And I think from this news it's only fair to expect more crime in New York City, as of course crime has been exploding all throughout major cities in the United States, even in places like Miami, where the local government there is issuing a state of emergency and curfew on South Beach after, of course, a lot of New Yorkers headed down to Miami for spring break. And personally, being in the area, especially this past Saturday, it is an absolute crap show. I don't know what happened to South Beach, but it literally feels like you're in some kind of failed penitentiary, as of course there now is a massive police presence and massive criminality everywhere on the streets. So for the city there, especially during Music Week, especially for the Ultra weekend, to declare a midnight curfew and state of emergency shows you the absolute incompetent mismanagement of a city that is dealing with a lot of very serious issues. Everywhere else in Miami, fine. South Beach, you don't want to go down there, as of course traffic is at a standstill as the local government there has been changing roadways into pedestrian walkways. Traffic congestion is absolutely insane. And with crazy scenes like this already unfolding in New York City and Miami, imagine what would happen if things really got bad, if the supply chains really were disrupted and people were left on their own accord. That, of course, is something that I routinely think about and talk about on LukeUncensored.com, where we talk about strategies of preparedness, personal responsibility, self-reliance, and, of course, all the latest news and information that we cannot get into on this particular broadcast. And that's why in a future video later on today that will be released on LukeUncensored.com, we will be talking about the latest revelations from Project Veritas and, of course, the winter of severe illness and death that, you know, there's a lot that I have to say about that. That conversation and a lot more only available on LukeUncensored.com. If you haven't signed up yet, what are you waiting for? Click the link down in the description below and sign up right now. Now, the term New World Order is something that, of course, we have been talking about for a very long time, especially as an independent media organization whose ears perked up every time we hear it, as, of course, this is not just a single-use term by the current president of the United States. This is a term used by many prominent, powerful individuals like the Pope that has said after the global sickness, this will be the opportunity to have a new world order. This is also the same Pope that launched a council with the Rothschild and many important bankers calling for the re-envisioning of capitalism, trying to create more of an inclusive world economic model. The term New World Order was also used by many, quote, health officials during the last 2 years. It was used by many prominent presidents. Of course, the former head of the CIA and former president of the United States, George Bush, used to love using this statement. So did Bill Clinton. And of course, also the people who heavily influenced the presidents, individuals like Henry Kissinger, a lot of secret society members like John Kerry, Nancy Pelosi, Gary Hart, and the list goes on and on. Let's not also forget David Rockefeller, and now the current president of the United States that also, throughout his very long political career, routinely used the term. What does the term mean? What does it signify? Well, according to an unaccountable private corporation's fact check, Twitter says that this term is, quote, an unfounded claim dealing with conspiracy theories, and you have nothing to worry about or think here since they have it all figured out for you. Yes, thank you so much, Twitter fact checkers, for telling us exactly what Joe Biden meant with what he said yesterday. As of course, there can't be any meaning behind all of these powerful individuals with huge conflict of interest, with huge corruption records, all saying it in unison. Nothing to see here, according to Twitter. And again, that sentiment is ridiculous. The term New World Order has always been used as a dog whistle by very prominent individuals for them to be able to, of course, consolidate more power and control for themselves. Commentator Michael Tracy puts it in another way, saying the term New World Order is just a synonym for America's ever-involving quest to maintain economic and military hegemony. No conspiracies required to understand this, and in a sense I would agree with him, except for the term America used in this statement, as of course many of the individuals using this statement are not Americans, don't see themselves as citizens of the United States, but are more deemed globalists, internationalists, individuals who, of course, have interests all around the world and are looking out for their own interests and no one else's. No countries, no territories, no flags, but themselves. And when you look at a lot of the policies from the individuals that have called for the New World Order, there are policies that greatly benefit them and by and large screw over the United States, screw over the people of this country and the larger interests of America. Now, it's also very interesting to see Joe Biden talk about cyber attacks along with this call for a New World Order, as of course Biden said that it's only a matter of time until these cyber attacks attack American infrastructure, American corporations. This just months before the World Economic Forum, along with the United States and Russia, have conducted international cyber warfare games and trainings, which many people have seen as a signal of major problems ahead, as of course the World Economic Forum usually has a knack for practicing fake scenarios before they happen, and the fact that the Russian government was closely connected to these digital online hacking drills is something that, of course, is also worth noting. This, as there's major cyber attacks already underway, specifically in Ukraine and in Russia, where an anonymous hacking group has warned companies still operating in Russia to pull out of that country, or they will be next to be cyber attacked by them. This specifically sending out a warning shot to major corporations to cease doing business inside of Russia, essentially doing the larger bidding for the American military-industrial complex and, of course, intelligence agencies that have been singing the same tune. Now, it's also important to note here that a lot of World Economic Forum members have also called for a new world order, a great reset, which they will need to build back better for, all of the key slogans used by, of course, the current president of the United States. And as the president of the United States mentioned, the current situation with Russia is pushing forward this new world order, as other people, like the former national security advisor for Barack Obama, Michael Flynn, have a totally different perspective, saying specifically that Putin's invasion of Ukraine is, quote, disrupting Bill Gates's new world order. And I would definitely have to say that this is a very generalized theory put out by Michael Flynn, and there are some people believing that Putin is disrupting the world order, while other people are believing he is contributing towards it. But of course, that is just conjectures and people's own personal beliefs. The Guardian has even written an article talking about how Ukraine has become the crucible of the New World Order, detailing specific changes to the current world, and as it is changing from, of course, this latest geopolitical event that is unfolding in Ukraine, that is using it as a proxy for the larger conflict between the East and the West. Now, of course, there will be significant global changes because of this conflict, which I believe has a potential for ongoing for a very long time, which not only creates a very turbulent situation on the world stage, but also a very precarious situation financially for the rest of the world that is being economically devastated because of the larger moves made by a lot of powerful individuals in response to this. Global trade, supply chains, energy, all of this has been disrupted by this conflict. And personally, from my own perspective and opinion, I would disagree with Michael Flynn, and I would say that the current situation that was started by Putin in this region works towards the creation of a new world order and predominantly benefits a lot of the corporate billionaire banking class and screws over everyone else in the lower middle class, especially the innocent civilians of Ukraine that are caught in the middle of this absolute nonsense and madness from politicians that cannot work out their differences. And we're reaching such an absurd point where the New York Times is trying to downplay and trying to lay the groundwork to excuse nuclear warfare. Yes, the New York Times came out with a headline talking about how a nuclear war would be less destructive than it once was. And, you know, with the experts telling us that nuclear war isn't really that bad, these being the major thought leaders of the United States, what's there to worry about? Now, we would be foolish to not talk about China, especially when we're talking about a new world order, as of course they are playing a significant role on the world stage. As with global trade, they are becoming more and more intertwined to the world economy. Now, it's also important to note that the Chinese president also gets advised by Bill Gates, and there's a lot of multinational corporations and billionaire bankers that work directly with China, and it's become because of the work of many internationalists, many globalists, especially David Rockefeller and Henry Kissinger, that in the 1970s opened up China to the rest of the world with the Nixon policy, are the ones that are responsible for the huge presence and prominence of China on the world stage. Bill Gates, to this day, advises the Chinese government, works with corporations that help the Chinese military, has praised China for essentially helping spread a global sickness to the entire planet. And even though the United States looks like it's opposed to China with its government economically and with a lot of these globalists, they are more intertwined than you would think, as even according to Ray Dalio, a mainstream financial thinker, he's an American billionaire hedge fund manager, came out in a book and even a video series detailing the changing world order and how the United States is clearly an empire in decline and China is an empire that is rising. And as we have mentioned many times on this independent media organization, the idea that the globalists want for the rest of the world is a society just like they have in China, where they control every aspect of human existence and freedom. If you haven't watched this video by Ray Dalio, it's definitely worth a watch, and it details a lot of very true, important economic and financial details that are creating a new world order that is being shaped in the vision of a Chinese social credit score, totalitarian track, trace, and total control existence, where a few unaccountable bureaucrat billionaires control every aspect of everything. Even according to the president of El Salvador, he recently said, quote, "The most powerful country in the world is falling so fast that it makes you rethink what are the real reasons. Something so big and powerful can't be destroyed so quickly unless the enemy comes from within." And he brings up a very interesting point, as of course Joe Biden, that has called for this new world order, is literally creating policies that are not just economically destroying this country, robbing it of any financial freedom and future, pushing for cultural issues that will create the decline of the family unit, only making the future population crisis of this country that much worse, not only denying America energy independence, not only printing money out of thin air, but also creating regulations and taxes that, of course, prevent American companies from prospering. As, of course, I think Biden realizes that the United States on the world stage is heading out, and I think he's helping facilitate that transfer, and in my own personal perspective, escalating it and making it a lot quicker than even a lot of people have expected. That's just my perspective. I got a lot more to say about this. I'm going to be saying more about this on LukeUncensored.com, doing another video right after this one, which you could only exclusively watch on that website. Click the link down in the description below. But if you thought I did an okay job explaining the term, explaining the situation, its history, its context, what it absolutely signifies and means, like this video and share it with your friends and family members. Sharing is one of the most important things you could do. And if you already told your friends and family members, tell a random stranger, your neighbor, you're walking your dog, there's another person walking their dog, be like, hey, have you heard about youtube.com/wearechange? Because that's a great website that you should definitely check out. That might blow your mind about the true reality of our existence, since, of course, we're almost being lied to about almost everything. So, yeah, simple conversations like that go a long way. If you do that, thank you so much. I did another video particularly about this topic a long time ago, which you could watch here. Not much has changed, only escalated in, of course, the wrong direction. I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for you. This is why I love you guys. Stay tuned for a lot more here on wearechange.org.